Hello, guys and girls. Welcome to the group chat from Footy Accumulators and Betfair. Mr. Alan McInally, the George Clooney of air, he is known now, is with us. I'm Will Perry, with you for the next half an hour or so. Al, controversial one for you today. So a few topics which I think you're going to like, right? They're going to get you going today. Leicester City first up, okay? Tell me, because I've heard this argument quite a few times over the last few weeks, why Leicester City are not in the title race, or do you think, like me, that they are? They win tonight against Chelsea, okay? They've got the chance to go top of the league. They've got 7 wins in the last 10. They've got these players that they've signed over the summer, like Fofana and Castagna, who've just been absolutely excellent and have plugged those gaps and addressed areas where they needed reinforcements. The improvement on top of that of players who've been there a few years, obviously come through the academy, and Harvey Barnes, James Justin, who came from Luton, Indeed, and I always describe him as the Benjamin Button of football in Jamie Vardy, because he just seems to get quicker and becomes more of a player as he goes deeper into his 30s, which I find fascinating. But for you, are Leicester in the title picture?
Yeah, and do you know why? There's a doubt about Leicester. It's because it's just still thought of Leicester City. They don't even think of Leicester City as much of a force or a problem, or can't see Leicester doing it again. Never happen again. Did it happen before? I think there's that kind of attitude, genuinely. And there's another one in there you never mentioned, in Tielemans, who I think is one of the best midfield players in the league. He's just so good and gets around the pitch, and he doesn't seem to be too flash. He doesn't. It's not as if he's looking for the, a kind of Hollywood ball with the outside the foot or something. He just gets on with his job. I think they're definitely in the title race, because they've got players at the top end of the part that can hurt you. And there's another reason, and I think he might be getting a new contract. He's just signed a new contract. Is Johnny Evans?
Yeah,
Johnny Evans right now could swan back into the Man United team in a heartbeat. I mean, genuinely he could. I think he's been that impressive at Leicester City, and I don't think he was taken seriously enough when he was actually at Manchester United, and I don't know why. And he's only just proven it by going to Leicester. And Leicester in the top end of the table, looking to try and A, cement a top 4, and B, I just wonder, could they win the league again? So no, I am absolutely of the opinion that Leicester could win the league, yes. Now, let's look at the whole squad. Our starters. Now, if any of them get injured, are we then looking at a problem in terms of who's your backup going to be? Who's going to keep us at that kind of level again? And that might be the only thing that Leicester City might fall short of.
Yeah, that is, I guess, the issue, isn't it? But look, you could say that also, Al, about Tottenham, for example. You lose Son and Kane. Where is the backup there? You could say that about teams who people think are in the title race. You could say that about Manchester City. And I know they've been going along nicely without a striker, but you take Aguero out there long term, you've got problems. You take Salah out the Liverpool team, Mane out the Liverpool team. But you're right. I think from a Leicester point of view, if you lose Vardy, even the Leicester fans are not too confident with Kelechi. And Nacho, of course, was at Manchester City. But that's where they would need reinforcements, isn't it? Look, the new training ground looks absolutely stunning. The owners are there for long term. They're talking about expanding the King Power Stadium. It's a great time to be a Leicester fan. And like you say, why can't they do it again? They've been there and done it in 15-16. Why could they not repeat that? They've got a better squad than them.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something else you must have if you're going to win the league. It's a good goalkeeper. And they have a really good goalkeeper, and a very confident young man goalkeeper who's been there already. He's quite happy. He's the number 1 goalkeeper. I'm trying to think of the number 2 goalkeeper at Leicester, and I can't actually remember now, but that's not a problem.
Danny Ward?
Danny, I was going to say Ward, but I couldn't remember his second name. Nevertheless, they have everything in place there that's definitely going to be challenging, no problem. And by the way, I would, if you gave me £100 and said, okay, you can have one bet, I don't think I'd be lumping it on a single on Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? The way that, he didn't play Havertz and Werner the other day. Even Frank is a little bit, okay, who's my best starting 11? It's going to be who the opposition is. It's not just going to be, that's my starting 11. And if the guys are in form, are going to play. It looks as though Frank is now tinkering with the team most of the time to depend who they're actually playing, etc., etc. So, it's a big opportunity for Leicester, and also it might just put them on people's radars that think, nah, Leicester can't win it again, surely. I think they can. I genuinely think they can. And I think they're here for the long haul, and they've got a good manager. Be an interesting run-in, actually, genuinely, because if there's a lot of people thinking Leicester are simply not in it and still hang around, they might just surprise a lot of people like they did the last time whenever they thought they would fall away.
Yeah. Okay, look, here's another little spicy conversation to have out. We talked about Steve Bruce last week, yeah? And I think we have done quite a lot this season, and Newcastle in particular. But when we compare Steve Bruce to Rafa Benitez, and I get it, Newcastle fans, they love Rafa Benitez because maybe there was that connection, wasn't there, which obviously Steve Bruce hasn't managed to build, even though it may not be down to completely his fault. No. The debate has been sort of expanded by Gary Neville, right? And he's jumped in and said that there's not much difference in terms of on the pitch between the two managers, between Bruce and Rafa Benitez. And look, this is the argument to back it up. So you go back to the 2017-18 season, yeah? Benitez, after 17 games in the Prem, had 15 points. They were 16th in the table. The following season, after 17 games, they had 16 points, a point more. They were 14th in the table. So 15 and 16 points, right, after 17 games. The two Bruce seasons, 22 and 19 points. So obviously, points-wise, they're doing better. But there was, am I right to say, more hope, more sort of the style of football that they wanted under Rafa Benitez? How drastically different was it? Or do we look back on that time with rose-tinted glasses under Rafa?
Yeah, I think so. And I think also what Rafa had done in his career prior to that has been obviously a little bit more successful than Steve in terms of, Liverpool and the Champions League and obviously his jobs prior to that. I do. And by those stats, you're telling me that Bruce is doing a better job, obviously, then at this moment in time with Newcastle. And I was delighted to see Steve coming out. And it's this difficult for me to have a go at Steve Bruce because, he's someone that I know, someone that I'll text every now and again and, how's it going and blah, 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 without actually really wanting to know the ins and outs of Newcastle, because not even he knows that because he's waiting for will there be a takeover, will there not? Actually wants to sell, who's he going to sell to? Who's coming up with the money? But I was happy with Steve coming out and having a right go at the players the other day for the game against Sheffield United because they were poor, really poor. And now whether it was under his instruction that I thought they were very negative. I said to you on this, on our group chat, I thought they were really negative. And the other night against Arsenal, were they better? Yeah, maybe a little bit better, but still, I don't see them having any. And by the way, I'll tell you why Steve's under massive pressure as well, incidentally. Callum Wilson, Jamal Lewis, Ryan Fraser, and I'm missing another.
Jeff Hendrick.
Jeff Hendrick. Although, to be fair, Jeff cost nothing. I think he got him on a free. But he did spend some money. And if they expected Callum Wilson to come in and, start scoring goals, but I think it's been more difficult. And I think it's going to have to come to a point when Steve decides that if he wants to get goals out of Callum, he'll have to play somebody up top with him. And he'll have to be more aggressive and take more chances. The only thing with Newcastle I'm worried about is defensively, I don't think they're good enough. I genuinely think they are no more than average at the back. I don't see a massive leader, and I'm talking about Lascelles. I'm looking at them thinking, go on then. And I had this thought with Tyrone Mings. I was like, okay, if you're the big I am and you're the big defender, I want to see leadership from you. I'm not seeing that from any of the back four at Newcastle. I'm genuinely not. Dummett's been out injured for a while. He's only just coming back. And it's been a real problem. And the biggest compliment so far for Arsenal has been the former Carl Darlow. But the problem is all he does is keep the score down a bit and keeps picking the ball out the net once or twice a game. And you just can't have that. So I think we are a little bit rose-tinted glasses with Benitez. And Steve at the moment in time, if you just let him get on with his job, and I don't know if he's going to bring any loan players in January at Newcastle. I would imagine he'll want to. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. It's hard for me to say any more than that. There's enough negativity around Newcastle at the moment, and they don't need me laying into them. But at the moment in time, there's one person and one person only that can change it, and that's the individual football players and get your finger out. He's been missing again. I forgot about this as well. I do like Almiron. I do like him when he plays, but he's not an absolute starter. But they need Alan Saint-Maximin into the team because he seems to be their talisman at the moment that when he's in, they win.
I just thought about this one. Obviously, with Steve Bruce's Manchester United connection, what about Jesse Lingard on loan? He's got to go and play football somewhere. And if you're Jesse Lingard, you want to go to the Euros and you want to now go and play the rest of the 19, 20 games in the Premier League season that remain, Why not go to Newcastle? What an opportunity for someone like Lingard.
Championship player.
You reckon?
Yeah, I don't see Steve. Do you know why? And I don't want to be too derogatory to Jesse. That's unfair because he has played in the Champions League and he's now out of favour at one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Mm.
And even Jesse may be thinking, well, I'm not going to the Championship because I'm better than that. Well, why is Steve not already done and dusted? Go and get him and bring him there. Don't be waiting until the 29th of January when you've missed another 3 games. Mm. Listen, there's been 40 managers that's known that Jesse Lingard hasn't played for Manchester United for 18 months. Mm. If he'd been that good, he'd have been in the 1st of January, surely. So I think there's still a doubt about Jesse Lingard. And the fact maybe that Solskjaer still thinks he's got a worth at Manchester United and wants to give him a new contract. I saw that muted around a little bit. In fact, what was it? They've extended his contract, sorry.
Yeah, they've triggered it, but obviously that may be just to keep value in the player because he was running
absolutely. For sure. So I still think in my heart of hearts at the moment in time, I've seen nothing from Jesse Lingard that makes me think he's a top-end Premier Division football player. And I think that's why even Steve Bruce is like, Jesse Lingard, I think I've got better at the football club.
Okay. Look, 7 points is their cushion above the relegation places, Newcastle. Are they in genuine danger of being sucked into that messy race to stay up?
Yes. You and I spoke a couple of days ago and thought, well, Fulham have changed a little bit, haven't they? Fulham have got a little bit better. Nobody expects Burnley to go down because they expect Dyche to do his wonders. Big Sam's come in and got a result that I didn't think was simply possible for West Brom to go to Wolves and win. Sheffield have had a win, although I think they might be too far gone. But all of a sudden now, there's 2 clubs above Newcastle as well that are looking over the shoulder thinking, hang on a minute. And there'll be everybody in their granny will be hoping that Man United can go to Fulham and turn them over midweek to make sure they keep them away and the likes of Newcastle, etc., keep their 6, 7, 8 point gap between the bottom 3. But yeah, they're definitely in a fight, definitely. If they had been beaten in the last 5 games in a row, 6 games in a row, I think you would have probably thought, well, Newcastle are still not looking great, but they've done enough. But they haven't done enough. And they're not nearly at the moment doing enough. And that's why they're in a relegation battle, Will.
Okay, let's talk about Liverpool. And I want to talk to you about Roberto Firmino. Yeah. And I know the Liverpool fans absolutely love him. And I know that Jurgen Klopp, despite his, not fantastic goal record, Jurgen Klopp says there's so much more to this guy's game. Okay. And he's not concerned that he's not scoring 25, 30 goals a season because he thinks that he is just such an integral part of that front 3. Yeah. As a former striker, I want to know your opinion on this, and I want you to sort of talk about it when I give you these stats as well, because there is some talk that he needs replacing, but is Diogo Jota the long-term replacement for him? The form that he was showing before he got that injury. Roberto Firmino's scoring record, okay, in 17-18 he came into the Premier League from Hoffenheim, didn't he, in the Bundesliga? Yeah. 37 games, 15 goals. Yeah, following season 18-19, 34 games, 12 goals. You can see the trend already, gone down 3. Mm-hmm. 19-20, 38 games, 9 goals. 20-21 so far this season, 18 games, 5 goals. So look, he could better than 9 from last season, but he's only got 5 from 18 games, which as a striker in a team like Liverpool, would you expect him to have more? And is he the main man going forward?
I would expect him to have more, yeah. But I think Jurgen Klopp has actually said that the 3 lads, Mane and Salah, have not been as electrifying as they were the last couple of seasons, and I agree. Listen, if you get the opportunity to watch Bobby Firmino, he really does. It's not necessarily about him scoring goals, but Liverpool, you just expect him to be like. And incidentally, I don't think him as an out and out like not an old-fashioned centre forward as we like to say, but there is a rotation kind of. I mean, he does mainly stay in that middle, and Salah does the right, and Mane does the left. And obviously then you're hoping for midfield to create other chances. But there's no question that he is a bit of a link in their play and always has been. And I think that's what Jurgen Klopp says. There's much more to his game than just the stats about him scoring goals. And I'm kind of with that. I really am. Because sometimes when you watch Firmino and you think, oh, what a pass, or what a little give and go and get, and somebody runs beyond them. That's what Liverpool are like. But it'll always come down to, when Liverpool are not doing well, why are we not scoring goals? Who can we point the finger at? And Firmino is the one that's getting the finger pointed at him just now. But Salah ain't scoring any goals at the moment. And I think the best of the 3 is Sadio Mane. I genuinely do. I think his form is better than the other two guys at the moment. Jota not being available at the moment is a massive problem. But there's one other huge impact from Liverpool for the front three. You've got two of the midfield players playing in centre halves that would have played in a midfield. And I thought that Thiago Alcantara coming on or starting his first game, which I was amazed at, incidentally, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was really good. And somebody tweeted me and said, well, he's been pretty ineffectual. He hasn't done anything. He was different class. He kept the ball. His passing was so good, etc. When he gets fit again and they try and get a defender in, if they do, or certainly Matip will be back, then all of a sudden Henderson, who chips in with goals, and Fabinho will be in their rightful place in the middle of the park at Liverpool. That'll help the front three. Nobody seems to be talking about that. I think it's a huge, huge part of Liverpool's team, the way they've played the last 18 months. And you can't really think it's going to be the same when you've got two of them playing the centre halves.
Well, I want to talk to you about Thiago because, look, we are both massive fans of him. And I know you've seen a hell of a lot of him at Bayern Munich as well.
Really good.
And I remember talking to you about this a long time ago because Didi Hamann, who, let's face it, is a Liverpool legend. You can't get away from that. I know he says some controversial things, but as a midfielder and someone who's played in that position and, you know, won the Champions League with Liverpool, you've got to listen when he talks, okay? He is saying that his argument with Thiago Alcantara is that he slows down Liverpool's play. And he goes back to the Bayern Munich days and he watched him a lot at Bayern as well. He wasn't the first name on the team sheet at Bayern Munich, but they had some fantastic players. But Didi's argument is that he's slowing Liverpool down because when he gets on the ball, he's taking too long rather than Liverpool's previous two seasons when they were just so prolific and scoring goals galore that they would get the ball immediately to Salah on one wing and to Mane on the other. And that's not happening now because Thiago's looking for that ball. Obviously, he's still got that ability to thread the eye of a needle and to plop that little like dinker from 5 yards into the penalty area. But is there an argument? Has Didi got a point there that he is, as great as he is, he's slowing down Liverpool?
Well, for starters, yes, he's comfortable on the ball. But when he played at Liverpool, he used to get the ball almost in centre-half place. I mean, he used to go that far back. And that's why it maybe looked a little bit more laborious. I think Klopp will try and play him a little further forward than that, which means he'll need to play the ball quicker. So Didi has a point there. Because when you get into the forward areas, that's when you want 1, 2 touch, or even one touch. You know, you don't necessarily need to take 1 and 2 and then 3 touches. It has to be quicker. And basically that's we'll suck it and see. Let's just see if he slows Liverpool down or whether Klopp says to him, look, by the way, this is where I want you to play. And I want you to play things much quicker than the criticism you were getting. I didn't think he slowed the play down for Liverpool the other day against Man United. I really didn't. I thought he was one of the better players. Now, Man U, I mean, I don't care who you are. I played in so many games and so many training sessions that you could have 3 defenders and 7 attackers and not score a goal. It's difficult when teams really sit back and say, come on then, beat us, try and beat us. And there's no ball over the top and it has to go really quick. And it has to go into the middle and eventually get in wide areas and get it into the box. And that's what Liverpool are going to have to do then if we're going to break teams down. The only thing that was missing the other day from them was a goal against Man United. And yet Man United could still have nicked the game. You know, because, you know, there was a chance for Bruno Fernandes and a wonderful chance for Pogba. So, listen, I still think he's a fantastic football player. I think he walks into every single team in the Premiership. That's how good I think Alcantara is. I really do. I think his football brain is really good. I think you can play him whatever you want in the middle of the park. But I think eventually, I think Klopp will want him to play a little further forward. And when he gets the ball, he's the one that does move the ball quick and get Liverpool into more scoring opportunities. I'm not having negativity around Thiago Alcantara yet, having come from Bayern Munich and been injured. And maybe you're going to see a really good second after the season and he's going to prove to everybody exactly why Klopp wanted him to come to the football club.
There's a little bit of talk about Mo Salah's contract, Al, and I know there's been some talk about Kevin De Bruyne's contract, which, look, as a City fan, if he leaves, I'm going to go and sit in a cupboard and cry for about 3 weeks. I don't think he will, and I don't think Mo Salah will. Or do you? The talk about, and you know how it works with agents and players and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But Mo Salah has 2 years left to run on his contract at Anfield. He's going to be 29 this year. One, is that, I mean, I think I already know the answer to this. Do they absolutely have to do everything to keep Mo Salah, even, as he's heading into his 29th year?
Mm-hmm.
And is there any chance you think that he might be thinking, okay, I've done it here at Liverpool, Champions League, Premier League, whatever. Do I then go to a Barcelona, to a Real Madrid in my sort of swan song years?
That's a good question, actually. I didn't realise you only had 2 years of the contract to go, and you know what the world's like now. You have to start thinking about it. I think both will. I think both. Although, will Salah want to think, I want to finish my career and look back and think I played at Barcelona or Real Madrid or Paris or wherever? Maybe. I think if it happens, I don't see him leaving Liverpool yet. I genuinely don't. So basically, I'm saying he'll sign a new contract then. But there will be people who are around about him that might be thinking, hey, come on, a wee bit sunny, we're back. Let's go to Madrid or Barcelona. And at the moment in time, I think that's a bigger topic because they're not at a best that we've seen. Barcelona were the best team in the world, for goodness sake, for a few years, and Real Madrid with Maradona, with Ronaldo was just amazing, and they're not at that level anymore. And maybe he's thinking, this is the opportunity where I've got to go and I could become one of them. So you can look at it both ways, but for Liverpool's sake, you're right. I think they'll move heaven and earth to make sure he stays, and even if he stays for another 2 years, they might still cash in on him, and he'll leave when he's 31. But the grass is not always greener, and he's at a football club at the moment in time that I don't see that standing still or still moving forward. I really do.
I told you this was going to be a controversial one, and it is controversial, but with stats and facts to kind of back up an argument. Not necessarily that I believe in it, but this is, playing devil's advocate. Okay. Bruno Fernandes, okay? Again, we're both massive fans of Bruno Fernandes. I think, like you mentioned earlier with Thiago, Bruno Fernandes walks into any team in the Premier League. I think right now he walks into any team in the world, okay? Yeah. So Bruno Fernandes against the big six teams in the Premier League in the 2021 season. And look, immediately we've got to say, before we even get into that, 15 goals in 27 games for Manchester United and a ridiculous assist record, involvement record. He's everywhere. When Manchester United win, it's because Bruno Fernandes is playing well. That seems to be the trend.
Correct.
But against the big six teams, Al, he has played 6 games, okay, in the 2021 season against the established big six. That may well be changing. Okay. Goals. Have a guess how many goals in those 6 games against the big six teams?
Well, it's obviously not a lot, so I'll go 4.
It's 1, and it came from the penalty spot in that 6-1 defeat against Tottenham at Old Trafford back in October. That is surprising, isn't it? You throw on top of that, and I know we can allow this guy because he's an absolute genius to have an off day, but it's the kind of off days against the big six teams which is starting this argument. And Bruno Fernandes lost possession 19 more times than he completed passes against Liverpool. 19 times, 18 passes. That is surprising for someone of that talent, isn't it?
Yeah, a little. I mean, the stats don't lie, I suppose, as much as I don't really like stats that much, because I still thought he was part of the Manchester United team that almost nicked something at Anfield.
The goals don't lie, Al, against the big six.
No, that's true. And I don't know whether then you have to encompass the whole shoot match of the Manchester United team. That tell me who else has done well against the big six then, because it can't just be Bruno Fernandes, because basically against the big six, then some of the other United players are maybe struggling, and Bruno's part of the fact that the whole team struggles against the big six. I don't know what that kind of stats like, but I'm not having that. I'm a huge Fernandes fan. I think you're right. I think without Manchester United, I think they would be a mile away. Without him coming to Manchester United, I just don't see them being as prolific, regardless of his stats. And okay, even if you sat Bruno down and said, look, by the way, this is your top 6 against the so-called top 6, even he might be like, all right, okay, I'll need to try and do something about that. And he's so good, he probably will anyways, because I'm not having him. I'm no negativity for Bruno Fernandes for me. I'd rather say there might be more negativity the players round about him that are making it more difficult for him to be as prolific as he is against some of the other teams than he is against some of the top 6. I'm such a big fan of Bruno Fernandes. Honestly, he's so good. Do you know what else he is as well? He's got a bit of badness in him. I like that. You know, he likes to tackle, doesn't shirk. Mind you, not that you can actually tackle anybody in modern day football. That's a complete and utter joke. That's another one we need to talk about in the group chat. But he's got a little bit about him that he can look after himself. And he's certainly showed brilliant leadership and brilliant, like, as a captain for Manchester United. And I think that was missing at Manchester United.
Yeah. Another player who clearly has an abundance of talent, and we haven't seen much of it, mainly because he hasn't had the chance to show it recently, is Dele Alli. And he is, of course, being strongly linked with the move to go and play with Mauricio Pochettino in Paris Saint-Germain. We have to remember, though, at the end of Pochettino's time at Tottenham, those two weren't the best of buddies, you know, and he wasn't playing a lot. So whether that relationship has been repaired or whatever, we'll have to find out, won't we? But Dele Alli will surely be looking at other players in his position, not just at Tottenham, but, you know, across the Premier League, and thinking, hold on a second, I've got very little chance of going to the Euros or even playing for England again, the way that these players are going. Grealish, Maddison, Foden, Barkley. I know he's not been fit, but let's remember that form he was in for you boys, Villa, you know, before he got that injury. Yeah. Emile Smith-Rowe is emerging. I mean, what a little talent he looks. So if you're Dele Alli and you're only 24, okay? He's a player that Sir Alex Ferguson was desperate for Manchester United to sign. You know, Sir Alex doesn't often get it wrong. I know there was Jemba, but he doesn't often get it wrong. So if you're Dele Alli, what do you do now? And how worried would you be about your England future?
Well, first and foremost, I don't see him playing for England in the summer. There, right? I think he's lost the eye of the tiger. I think he's lost the hunger will. I don't see a hungry player in him anymore. I watch him and I'm like, I don't see him aggressive. I see him like, give me the ball. You know, I'm going to be like, I thought Dele Alli was at get in the box, let's go. I don't see any of that now. I see like, I don't see a hungry football player. I don't see a desperate football player. I don't see someone that wants to prove everybody wrong. And he's had a couple of opportunities. Now, I know, to be fair, the couple of opportunities, and I did think this when he was playing, you know, one was away at, where were they? They were away at Marine. Yeah. So they played in that game, and you're like, I mean, I'm thinking, is that unfair? Because I've played in games like that, and you think, well, the pitch is not great, the surroundings not great, but I better roll my sleeves up here and just get on with it, you know? So I don't know how many opportunities he's really genuinely had at the start of a game to go and play and show everybody. But at the moment in time, I know why he's not playing. He's not playing because he's not doing the things he did to get into the Tottenham team in the first place. He's not doing the things he did to get a 5-year contract on wonderful money. And he's not doing the things that's making Jose Mourinho think, who am I leaving out to get Dele Alli in? Because this boy's sensational. Dele Alli's not playing for England in the Euros. No chance. The best thing for Dele Alli to do is to listen to Alan McInally in group chat, get the eye of the tiger back, get your anger back, and get your game back. And get your game back. You can't not tell me there's not a player in there. We know there is. You don't score goals, you don't run into the box, you don't get behind defenders, you don't shoot from the edge of the box. When was the last shot on target you had? I'd like to watch the last 4 or 5 games from Dele Alli. I don't remember him having a shot on target. That's not right. That's no Dele Alli. Spurs didn't spend £5 million from Milton Keynes to take somebody that might be, he's lost it when he's 24. Just get your anger back, kid. Get the eye of the tiger back. I mean, he needs to leave Spurs as well, incidentally, which he won't probably want to. Where's he going to go? And right now, you've talked to me about one team in France because that was where his ex-manager was. I don't see at the back of my door 20 managers in big European football clubs that are giving, Dele Alli's available. Oh, well, think about that one. I haven't seen one thing apart from Paris Saint-Germain, and it's only because Poch is there.
And look, you talk about hunger and a player transforming themselves. He only has to, and I know it's a different position and a different club, but look at someone like John Stones, who was dead and buried by the media and by by the looks of it, from his own manager. He didn't look like he'd ever play for Manchester City again, and he's turned things around. So Dele Alli, you'd like to think, can do that. There is a player in there, Al. And look, let's only remember back to Jose Mourinho when he came in November last year. His first game was against West Ham, wasn't it? So we're going back just more than a year.
Yeah.
Dele Alli scored 4 goals in Mourinho's first 4 games in charge. He looked like he was back, and that was that relationship. It was being forged, and there was a friendship there between the two of them. That's disappeared, so he can get back. That was only a year ago, Al.
Yeah, but you fall out with Mourinho quick, don't you? Or players have fallen out with Mr. Mourinho quick. And if you're not doing the business, or he doesn't think you're doing the business, you're quickly sort of sitting in the stand, or not even in the squad, or not travelling with the team, etc., etc. And then what he's done with Dele Alli is he's thrown the gauntlet down to him and said, look, here's your opportunity. You either take it or you don't. And so far, Mourinho, obviously, because it's, by the way, it doesn't matter what you think, what I think, it's what Dele thinks and what Mourinho thinks, because Mourinho picks the team. And right now, he thinks that Dele Alli is not doing enough to merit a place in the team. Now, he either rides this out or he leaves Spurs. I mean, he's on a good contract, and that's why I think, has it become too easy for him? Has it become not stale, but, look, I've got here now. He's 24. My God, the amount of football in front of Dele Alli is so much. I mean, I'm an old man now, and my career was just fantastic. And unfortunately, one day, finished my career, and if I could have changed one game or one instant, it'd be that one that didn't finish my football career. He's still got it all in front of him, and I'd love to say to him, you've no idea what you've got in front of him. You're going to have so much fun. You're going to enjoy this so much, and at the end of it, you're going to be a millionaire. And all you need to do is give it everything you've got when you cross that halfway line. And I mean, leave nothing there, because all you'll be is disappointed. And prove your manager wrong. There's still a place in the team for Dele Alli, by the way, because if he gets his finger out and he starts doing exactly the things I said, then Ndombele and Harry Winks, etc., they'll all be looking over the shoulder. At the moment in time, they're like, well, he's not even trying. Who cares? There's no way he's putting me out the team.
Let's go north. Let's go home for you. Let's go to Celtic, okay? There's pressure on Celtic, as we mention every week, with obviously the situation in the Scottish Premiership and, a little trip to Dubai, etc., etc. But Neil Lennon now has come out and he's had a bit of a rant, and he's clearly not happy, Neil Lennon, this season, and wasn't happy even sort of 6-7 weeks ago. It doesn't seem like he had a good window. Going back to the beginning of the season, wasn't a happy bunny. And credit to Steven Gerrard and what Rangers are doing. But my question to you now is about Eddie Howe, because he's been linked with this job. A few questions then. Would Eddie Howe be the right man for Celtic if Neil Lennon is to walk or to be pushed? And if you were Eddie Howe, would you go there currently with the state of play in Scotland?
Well, it's a huge job to take for Eddie Howe, by the way, and I mean a huge job. He would have to go there with at least a guarantee from the board that he's going to get more money to spend than what Neil Lennon has. I mean, Neil's really cheesed off because of the trip, and he knows it wasn't a very good trip, by the way. Neil's not stupid, incidentally. Neil Lennon is not a stupid lad, stupid man. He's not. He's a manager of Celtic Football Club. He's had huge success with the football club. And right now, it's a really difficult situation for him. Everything that is a minor problem, I agree with him, is a huge problem for everybody else. And I genuinely think if he could turn the clocks back, I don't think they would have gone to Dubai. Right, we'll pack that. If he goes from Celtic, I actually have not thought about who the manager would be, but never at any time did I think it'd be Eddie Howe. Will, I don't know why. I mean, he went to Burnley and it never worked out. And if he can't work out at Burnley, and if he thinks he was under pressure there or didn't get money to spend, you go to Celtic. The Celtic job is 150 times bigger than the Burnley job, by the way. Now, I know Burnley are in the Premier Division, and Sean Dyche has just done the most sensational job. And every time at the end of the season, I've been asked, who's your manager of the year? And I'm like, Sean Dyche. I mean, who else could it possibly be? Maybe Wilder last year is the first time he's been overtaken. But to keep Burnley in the Premiership is huge. But Celtic is just a different kettle of fish. Even living in the city with another club, a couple of miles away, doing so well, puts you under so much pressure you wouldn't think was even possible. Answer the question. No, I don't think Celtic would go for Eddie Howe. Would Eddie Howe take the Celtic job? No. I remember Gordon Strachan telling me, when Celtic ask you to be the manager of the football club, then it's not a job you can say no to, you say yes. I wonder whether he'd actually be asked to take the job in the first place. That'll be an interesting one.
Mm. Okay, look, Wayne Rooney has announced his retirement this week. And, he's only 35 years old. He's got the Derby job on a full-time basis. Wayne Rooney, even as a Manchester City fan, I think went under the radar in terms of just the sort of credit that he got for the talent that he had. Remember when he came on the scene as a 16-year-old, 2002, scored that goal against David Seaman at Highbury for Everton against Arsenal. And then he joined Manchester United after a brilliant Euro 2004 for £27 million. And the goals he scored on his debut for Manchester United in the Champions League. And he has been a sensational player. All right, he's got nowhere near Shearer's record of 260, and probably could have done, really, if he'd got his head down, couldn't he, and injuries, etc., etc. But 208 goals in the Premier League is some achievement. How will he be remembered, Al, as a Premier League great? Whereabouts amongst the brilliant guys who've played in the Premier League?
Oh, one of the best. Because there's another street fighter, angry football player with a God gift given to them. He worked on and made even better. I mean, I remember, you're talking about those games. I remember going to Villa Park with Sky Sports way, you're talking 20 years ago. And Aston Villa were playing Everton in an under-18 game. And Wayne was playing. And he was a man then. He was like a little man then, to be honest. And he was brilliant. He really was. He's known as one of the best, and rightly so. I think I've heard a few people talk about Wayne Rooney, that they actually played with him and trained with him and said he was brilliant, really good. The biggest thing with Wayne is, he's said a couple of negative newspaper things, but then when you're in the limelight, they'll chase you for anything and everything they can possibly get from you. But he can look back in his career and think, wow, what a blast, what a ride that was.
And look, I know he's had his bad press and he's not done himself some favours over the past, but I mean, who hasn't when you're a young boy growing up with the world on your shoulders and that money coming in and whatever, and you're a working class lad from the streets of Liverpool. I mean, you know what I mean? Glass houses, I think is the phrase for that. But I've met Wayne, I'm sure you have a few times, and genuinely, this isn't a mic drop moment, and dropping a name, but he is one of the nicest guys I've spoken to. I remember having chats with him, away from a microphone, away from a camera. And I could see, this was only recently as well, when he was a player at Derby, and I could see the passion. I was talking to him in the tunnel, I remember at Selhurst Park when they played Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, and I was there with Mark Bright, and we were just having a really nice chat. And maybe I was just mainly listening to Brighty talk to him. And you could see just that desire in his eyes of how much he wants to achieve as a manager. And that's always been the plan. He didn't need to go to Derby. With all respect to Derby, he didn't need to go to Derby. He could have quite easily sat at home with his billions of pounds and counted his money for the next 25 years. But, he wants to achieve something. And we know our managers, 95% of managers do not have a good time. They do not have a fun time. They go bald, they go grey. It's like a big prime minister.
Well, he's already there for that then, isn't he?
Yeah, true. They'll go bald again, Wayne. He doesn't need to do it. And that is testament to him as a guy and how maybe, all right, ego and whatever, but he wants to prove himself. He's proved himself as a player. He now wants to do it as a manager. He's seen Lampard, doing well. He's seen Gerrard, what he's doing at Rangers, and he wants a slice of that.
Yeah, absolutely. For all your speaking there, in my head I had one word, and he's quite humble. Wayne, he's not brash. He's quite shy, actually.
People think he's the opposite, Al, though, don't they? People think he's the opposite.
Well, I can assure everybody right now in the world, especially our group chat viewers and everybody else that wants to listen to us with a bit of luck, and you should be, Wayne Rooney is the opposite of the brashest, most outgoing guy in the play. By the way, George Best was very similar. I mean, I was very fortunate to work with George Best and to go out with George now and again. And George could sit in the corner, you wouldn't know he's there. And Wayne's exactly the same. He's not brash. He's quite shy. The last time I spoke to Wayne was at Blackburn, and they were obviously he'd got his own car, so they're waiting for Wayne to come out. And there was a whole hoorah, like, oh, wait a minute, oh, Wayne's coming. And I was like, all right, okay, moment. And there was two guys came over and they saw me standing. They came over and went, hi, big man, how you doing? I went, good to see you, bud. No histrionics, no big thing. I'll get my car in a minute. How's things? asking him how he was at Derby, I was thinking, blah, blah, blah. Just brilliant. Just brilliant. I mean, but in terms of when you start talking to him about football, I think he'll surprise people how educated he is on football, if you know what I mean, then, and how important it is for him to carry his career on into this managing side. Because like you said, Wayne didn't have to become a manager. But there's a lot of players that he played football with that have all done the same. And it seems to be still in there with him that he wants to prove to everybody that he can take this challenge at Derby, which is a big challenge, by the way, because they're not exactly doing fantastic. And his first game finished in a defeat. So, it's a big job for him. And, there's a lot of people in football who you pass by and you think, yeah, I wish him all the best. And I couldn't give a damn. I wish him absolutely all the success in the world, Wayne Rooney, because, I've watched him for 20 years and he's been absolutely fantastic as a football player and is definitely one of the greatest players to play in the Premier Division. And it's all about him now. Can he prove it as a manager? I hope he does.
Okay, look, we'll finish this week with another great from Wayne Rooney to Lionel Messi. And of course, the chat is going to increase because we're in the January transfer window. He's 33 years old now, Lionel Messi. We know that Manchester City were desperate to get him and thought they could have got him in the summer. Pep had gone out to Barcelona, had to self-isolate on his way back. That was not part of the plan. He felt like he was coming back with Lionel sat in a first-class seat next to him on a plane back from Barcelona, landing into Manchester Airport. And he was going to bring him into the Premier League, which has been a dream of Manchester City. And I'm sure it's been a dream of every Premier League club to have Lionel Messi. I'm sure Manchester United would find a place for him. I'm sure Chelsea would. I'm sure Liverpool would. He'd probably they'd find a way for Messi to play at Anfield. Everyone wants a piece of Lionel Messi. Who's going to get him? Is he going to leave Barcelona? And it was fascinating the other night to see him get his first red card. I mean, is this a sign of the frustration? Get me out of the new camp. I'm going to get my first red card in 753 games playing for Barcelona. And look, we talk about him having a bad season this season and not fancying the football under Ronald Koeman. He's still got, at the age of 33, 14 goals in 22 games, which by his standards is a disgrace because he'd normally have about 50 by now.
My phone went ballistic. Messi red card, Messi red card. I'm in a group chat with some of them that don't even like football and said, Messi's got a red card, Al. Now, have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
Is it a straight red or two yellows? I haven't seen it.
I mean, he clips him in the face. It's a red.
Right, okay. So that just says everything that Messi's never done. By the way, the referee is probably going to get to jail. I hope he realises that because, Messi getting 700 odd games, he's never had a red card. But that frustration is boiling up within Lionel Messi. Now, I said away in the very beginning, and I said this March, April last year. I have never heard Lionel Messi say one negative thing about Barcelona, ever. And then he said, or intimated rather, I think that's it for me. I don't like what's happening here. Looks as though I'm going to be leaving. I'd never heard him say that before. And in my head, I was thinking, Messi can't leave Barcelona. Messi can't leave Barcelona. Nobody's going to let him leave Barcelona. The fans won't let him leave. They'll shut the airport down. I know something's ridiculous. I mean, it just doesn't. Just think of that. Messi's leaving Barcelona. What are you talking about? You've been drinking. This won't happen. And then all of a sudden he gets a red card. And then all of a sudden he's saying things and, the president gets outed and there's a new president and there's a new manager comes in and you think, things have settled down a little bit. He continues to score goals and there's still this underlying simmering thing that he's not happy. And I'm thinking, I think Messi's going to leave Barcelona. I never, ever thought I'd actually say that, genuinely. But there's too much. Red card. When does Messi get that angry about anything? He's the most kicked football player in the planet and doesn't react. And reacts at the weekend, gets a red card. So there's something not right with the whole thing. Now, he might just smooth it and just ocean line his way to the end of his career at Barcelona. That might be the case. But maybe there's just something. When he hears people talking about Ronaldo, he did it in Spain. He did it in Italy. He did it in England. He's done it with Portugal. And all Messi's got is, well, he's only played in Spain. Maybe now at 33, he's like, I could go and prove to everybody I've still got another 2 years left in me because I'm that good, by the way. He's still phenomenally good. And providing he stays fit, does he get into the Man United team? Yeah. Does he get into the Man City team? Yeah. Does he get into the Liverpool team? Yeah. Does he get into the Leeds United team? Yeah. Does he get into the Burnley team? Yeah. Does he get into the Chelsea team? Yeah. He can go where the hell he wants. It'd be great to see him over here. Could he get into the United team? I'm not sure.
Not sure.
Not sure. I'm not sure. By the way, before we finish, incidentally, and I'm glad we spoke about Messi because maybe people are actually realising I adore the guy. Just Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic and Messi. Gee whiz. This is one for you. Now, I get told this last night from quite a good source. Lukaku to Manchester City. What would you think? What would you think about that one?
Well, you know my thoughts on the striking situation there. Okay, first priority is obviously to look long term at Aguero's successor, which a club like Manchester City clearly have. You know, the transfer policy there, the structure there. They would have been thinking about this 4 years ago, as soon as Pep first came in. So, Aguero, does he sign a new contract? Even if he does sign a new contract, I'd think he'd probably sign one for 1 or 2 years, and then that will be his route, like Carlos Tevez.
Agreed.
Back home, yeah, which is what he wants to do, and which he's made no secret about it.
Yeah.
Does he now go? There's a spanner in the works via Paris and Pochettino home. That wouldn't surprise me. You know, if he thinks, okay, I've done everything with City. Are they going to win the Champions League? They're not in the box seat to do it. You know, whatever. And you couldn't question the guy if he wanted to go. No one could say, you know, you're a disgrace, Sergio. You want to go and play for Paris Saint-Germain and then you want to go back home. He's done wonders for Manchester City. I'm going the long way around of answering your question. My number one would be, I said to you loads of times, Kylian Mbappe. Are Manchester City going to get Kylian Mbappe? If I'm being completely honest and realistic, no. Because, you know, he wants to go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid can't afford him now, but they probably could in a couple of years. So then my number two would be Erling Haaland. Dad used to play for us. He was born in Leeds. He knows how rubbish the weather is in the north of England. He would be fantastic. They could build a team around him. He's in his early 20s. His release clause is 60-something million pounds, which is go and pay him £100. Go and get him now and pay 100, you know. Yeah. But again, does he have his eyes on playing for Real Madrid? And Real Madrid, you can't bank that deal now, probably could in 18 months, 2 years. So they've said, hold your horses. You're our next. We want to build a team around you. Where are you going to go? Real Madrid, City? If it's a City fan, you're going to go to Real Madrid. So then my number three would be Harry Kane, right? Harry Kane, I think would come to City this summer, even if Tottenham win the League Cup. Even if they win the League Cup, I think he would come this summer. 150 million quid it would cost them. What are you getting him at 27, 28 years old in the peak of his career? You're not going to get as many years of him as you are out of Haaland, but you're going to get someone who's going to score you 30 goals inside the 6-yard box, which is what City need to get back to.
Champions League as well.
But you've thrown Lukaku in the mix, and I've heard that as well. He's been superb, Al, for Inter since he signed for them.
Unbelievable.
And he's unbelievable season as well. Manchester United are missing him. They let him go because of personality and not really football issues, it seemed to me, with Solskjaer. But right now, City need a number 9. Would I swap Gabriel Jesus for Lukaku? I'd fly him over to Milan and bring Lukaku back 100%. But is Lukaku a long-term answer? We need to look at a long-term plan. The long-term plan is, for me, it's either Mbappe, it's Haaland, or it's Kane.
Well, hang on a minute. Your long-term plan can still kick in 2 years. You might not get either of those two players you spoke about in for a couple of years. And the chap who was speaking to me had just said he's probably thinking that Lukaku's still cheesed off at Manchester United, who didn't think that was his worth. That he thinks, well, I'll just prove to them and I'll go to Man City, you know, and I'll be fabulous with them, and all of a sudden it'll upset all the Man United fans. But I just wanted to ask you, because it's the first time I was thinking, who the hell did Man City get, apart from the obvious, which you've just said? And that one came out a little bit of left field. And the fact that he's been brilliant with Inter Milan, I was thinking, oh yeah, that could actually happen. That could actually happen in January. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw it out there to the group chat. Let me know what you think, because I was thinking, who's Man City going to get? Lukaku? Maybe.
Well, look, mate, I don't think City fans have had too many problems with people crossing the border in the past. It's always been the issue the other way. You know, I've watched Peter Schmeichel had some great years at Manchester City. You know, he was one of the best goalkeepers I can remember. And obviously, you know, we had David Seaman after that as well. But Peter Schmeichel was excellent. We had Terry Cook, who'd come from Manchester United in our 99 playoff team. We had, of course, Andy Cole, who played for us as well. We had Mark Hughes as manager.
Dennis Law.
Dennis Law, of course, in the back heel.
The Law, man.
You know, would City fans have a problem with Romelu Lukaku? When you're looking at a player who this season, Al, has played 28 games, right, for club and country, and has scored 22 goals. And you go back to last season, that first season that he'd signed, you know, probably that first full season from Manchester United. At Inter Milan that season, right, he played 54 games and he scored 38 goals. He's a goal machine. He knows Kevin De Bruyne very well, very good mates. And look how those two link up in that Belgium team. So you're convincing me. I'm convincing myself. Let's go and get Lukaku for 18 months before we sign Erling Haaland.
Well, I've been told a few things over the last couple of months about teams maybe wanting to get X, Y, and Z. And you know me, I'm like, oh, shut up. Don't be so silly. That's not, no. And this one, I was like, oh, yeah, De Bruyne, Belgium, done brilliant. 2 years, go where he wants after these 2 years, make them a better team.
Do you know how old he is?
Maybe not.
Have a guess how old he is.
He's only 27.
27.
Is it? 20. Yeah, so anyway, I just thought I'd throw it in there because it's the only thing that's, apart from working with you, darling, stimulated me this morning, thinking... Because we do speak about it, and I've said to you before about Man City. Who the hell did Man City get in? Because at the moment in time, am I going to trust Jesus to get me 20 goals for the end of the season to make sure we win the league? I don't know. Mahrez, no. Sterling, yeah. De Bruyne, yeah. All the other guys thrown in, maybe. Maguire's coming back. Well, hurry up, will you? And then somebody said to me, I think Lukaku's going to City. And I was like, what? I was like, oh. I'll start that rumour then. I don't think it's a rumour.
Al, nice. Enjoyed that. What are you up to this week? Aren't you doing West Ham, West Brom? What a game that is. Big Sam back in London, back to cause problems at the London Stadium. Yeah,
doing that Tuesday night. So that should be really interesting. Call the winner there. I mean, Big Sam's result against Wolves was just fabulous. And West Ham at the London Stadium, I don't know, it'll be a really good game to watch, actually. I've got Wednesday off, which is a better result.
Snodgrass hat-trick.
Let's go Betfair Snodgrass to pick up a card. I think that might be the best. That might be the best. Snodgrass to be carded. But yeah, looking forward to West Ham, West Brom, and then the weekend there'll be FA Cup. So we'll speak to everybody towards the end of the week. And don't know where I am yet.
I'm doing West Ham. I'm doing West Ham Doncaster at the London Stadium. Darren Moore.
Is that on Saturday?
That's on Saturday afternoon, 3:00. Yeah.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah, that'll be Donny. Ooh, come on, Donny.
Yeah, it could be a tasty one. That's the last thing that David Moyes wants at the moment, isn't it? But there we go. Right, good to see you out. I'll speak soon.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for watching.
Pal. Well done today.